The Honourable Chester Borrows.
Mr Speaker, and I'm pleased to follow the Honourable Member just resumed his seat by now, having listened to the wannabe and the guy that got the job. Some of those members on the other side will be shaking their head wondering if they can have the vote again tomorrow. I am proud to be part of a government who believes, like other New Zealanders, that people who can work should work. It's an ethic that has kept this New Zealand great for a long time and will continue well on into the future. Getting off welfare and getting into work means a better life for the individual concerned and a better life for their family. And I want to speak about the independent youth benefit and the new terms of that particular benefit, because this country under this government cares enough to intervene in those young lives, because previous to this, those young people on the independent youth benefit, about 2,500 of them, were given the money, and they walked away. They were given the money and the country walked away from them. And now under this government we're saying this. A card will be given to those young people so they can go on to purchase the food and the requirements that they need for daily life. Their rent will be paid for them and their power will be paid for them, and they will have some small amount of discretionary money that they can spend according to their own will. But most of all, and best of all, they will be given a budget mentor to help them and walk alongside them to make sure they learn the lessons that many of us learned when we were young from our parents, because our parents were there and our parents cared enough to show us the way we should go. And that is the way it should be. And similarly then, for those young mothers, about 6,500 of them who are under 20, solo parents, and they will be given the same assistance. So they will be given a card that they can buy good food from, not takeaway food, not alcohol, not tobacco. They will have a small amount of discretionary spending up to a maximum of $50, but the rest of the money will be there available for them on a card to use as they need to meet their requirements in clothing and in food and other necessities. Again, a budget mentor will be placed with them to encourage them to attend schooling, to attend classes, training, parenting courses and so forth. And as we saw on the television item last night, they will get up to an extra $30 a week for attending those courses, for turning up, and in this way we are helping them through. It seems ridiculous to me that in a world where 3 or 4 years ago we put a spaceship on Mars, we neglect our young people who are the most vulnerable in our community, and I am proud to be part of a government who cares enough to intervene in people's lives to that degree. We're similarly encouraging people, solo parents, to be work ready at the stage that their children reach 5, if it's to be work ready for part-time work, and to be work ready for full-time work when their youngest child is 14. And what we, strangely silent at the moment, but what we normally hear from the other side of the house is, there are no jobs. Well, I'd just like to relate to the House an email I got from a Labour company operating out of Palmerston North yesterday that said they put about 80 people into work placements every day of the week. He said, we constantly ring workers asking them to come into work, and they constantly either can't get them on the phone, and so if they're not on the phone they're not work ready, or they get responses like, I'm sorry, I don't like doing that job. They have no tolerances towards drugs, but they do screen for Ministry of Justice checks, so police records, also for drug testing and for driver licensing. They lose about 2 out of 20 because they can't pass a drug test. They lose about 2 out of 10 because of the criminal records, and they lose about 3 out of 10 because they haven't got a driver's licence. But he finishes off by saying this: therefore, to sum up, if you don't take drugs, if you ever have a fairly clean MOJ check and you have your own transport, you can virtually be guaranteed a job. There are jobs out there for people who are willing to work. There are jobs out there for young people who say they are willing to work and stay off drugs. There are jobs out there for people who are not dishonest, who are not habitually offending, and some offending is some people with low infringement type offences are still encouraged into work and can still find work on a day-to-day basis. There are jobs for people who want to work and are prepared to make themselves ready to do that, and I'm so proud to be part of a government that supports that sort of thinking from our young people.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker,